Welcome to Tales of Resilience, a podcast honoring the heart behind animal rescue. I'm your host, Jolene Feeney, a mental health therapist, lifelong animal lover, and founder of Zodipaws and Animal Rescue Hub. This is a space for real conversations with the people who care for animals when no one else can. From shelter teams and wildlife rehabbers to transporters, vet techs, and nonprofit leaders. We talk about the joy, the grief, the burnout, and the moments that remind us why we keep showing up. Whether you've lived this work or just want to understand it more deeply, thank you for listening. Let's get into today's story. This episode may include references of animal suffering and death, as well as themes of mental health, including suicide. Welcome to Tales of Resilience. I'm your host, Jolene Feeney, and today we are joined by someone whose passion for animals has truly shaped every chapter of her life, Kelli Delperdang, Marketing and Communication Manager at Street Dog Hero. Kelli grew up in San Clemente, California, and from the time she was little has been the kind of person who literally pulls her car over to help a stray dog. Whether rescuing lost pups on the road or saving scraps on vacation to feed street dogs, Kelli's instinct to help animals has always been a part of who she is. Before joining Street Dog Hero, Kelli spent 8 years in marketing with major brands like Radio Disney, Hydro Flask, and Rumpel. She eventually found her way to Bend, Oregon, where she now lives with her husband and 3 beloved dogs, Moose, Riley, and Westy. Outside of work, you can find her surfing, hiking, or trail running, always with an animal as part of her journey. At Street Dog Hero, Kelli helps tell the stories of dogs rescued from challenging circumstances across the globe. Stories of survival, hope, and second chances. The organization also tackles the root causes of suffering through powerful international and local spay and neuter clinics, veterinary access initiatives, and community education that empowers long-term change. Welcome to the podcast, Kelli.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Great to have you as part of the conversation. And I'm excited to also kind of bring in the marketing and communication component of the work that you do in this space, because I think that is a perspective that we haven't quite heard yet in some ways. I mean, some people wear so many hats that they're doing all of it, but that's your focus. So I'm excited to dig into that.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. Thank you again for having me.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I always like to kind of just jump in talking about the rescue itself. So I'm wondering if you could just give us a little more insight into Street Dog Hero, kind of what you guys are up to and the ins and outs.
Yeah, awesome. So Street Dog Hero, we are a local rescue and we take in dogs from all over the world, primarily Mexico. And then we bring them into Oregon and the Pacific Northwest to get adopted. We also bring in dogs from overcrowded shelters all across the United States as well. We take in a lot of dogs from like kill shelters in California and Oklahoma, Texas, just the really high risk states. And yeah, we're very busy, always bringing in as many dogs as we can. We're a really small team, but everyone is very passionate about what we do, and we bring in about 650, I want to say, dogs per year. So yeah, but there's a huge dog loving community here in the Pacific Northwest, and we're so grateful just that people love dogs and are willing to open their homes. And we're a lot more lucky than a lot of states where there's dogs just crammed in shelters. So we try to help however we can. But yeah, a lot of the thing that sets us, I feel like, apart as well is just bringing the dogs from other countries. That's kind of how Street Dog Hero got started. Our founder, Marianne Cox, she rescued a street dog from Sayulita, Mexico. And that was always her dream. Like every time she was on vacation, she would see dogs on the streets and just in horrible condition. So it was her dream to be able to one day own a nonprofit that could bring in those dogs and help save them, since they kind of are a bit of forgotten, or not forgotten, but there's not a lot of rescues down there helping. Or there are doing what they can, but not a lot that are able to get them to the US. And there's just so many more homes here for dogs. So that's something that's been really cool just to learn since I've started and just see dogs transition from street life to being in homes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the international part is very unique for sure. And you said it's a global effort. So how many countries do you guys end up touching if you know off top of hand, or maybe not?
Yeah, I think last time I counted, it was about eight. We
Okay.
take a lot of dogs, mostly from Mexico, just all over Mexico and Baja. And then we take dogs from like meat markets in South Korea, Afghanistan. We've taken some from the Ukraine, China, like the China meat markets as well, Jamaica, yeah, the Bahamas. I feel like I'm missing some, but yeah, all over Armenia.
Yeah.
We get dogs from all over. Whoever has a flight and can get a dog here, we will take them.
Now, I've heard through talking with organizations that we'll probably have future interviews with, because they do some transporting internationally as well, that there have been some tightening of regulations as far as transporting. I'm not sure if it's dog specific or animals in general, but I'm wondering if there's any insights on that that you can kind of share.
Yeah, I think in Europe specifically, it's gotten a lot harder to fly dogs and from the Middle East. We used to be able to bring a lot more from like Afghanistan and stuff, but just they're they have the restrictions of needing different vaccines and just the cost, even it'll cost maybe like $800 to fly a dog here, and it's just not feasible, unfortunately, as a nonprofit to be able to afford that since it's not even covering the adoption fee. But yeah, it is a bummer because there are so many more countries that have like India and specifically has a horrible street dog problem. But just getting them out of that country in general is just an absolute nightmare with regulations. There was a bunch of regulations that they were threatening for Mexico recently, but those kind of got alleviated. So it hasn't been as difficult. There's just a couple more additional like I think it's like a screw worm certificate and a couple other things that we need to get. But our rescue partners down there haven't had any problems getting their dogs through the border that way. So yeah, we've been really fortunate.
That's great. And so you've had a journey into this space of working in the nonprofit realm. So I'm curious just about, yeah, your relationship to animals. It sounds like you're very compassionate for animals and suffering and wanting to help. But what has been your journey like in up until today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I've always been in like marketing, I guess I would say, but dogs was like my passion. So I kind of had like my job and then my passion, which was my dogs that I take everywhere and do everything with. And even like growing up, we always had at least three dogs, and they're just a part of our family. Like we talk about them all the time. We give them like little voices and like yeah, my family's a big dog family. So I've just always grown up needing to have dogs around. And I knew that one day I wanted to work for a dog rescue and just be able to kind of like merge my passion for marketing and my love for animals. So it's been like this, I feel like I've landed my dream job, just being able to like get dogs adopted, and I like wake up excited to do marketing for dogs every day. So yeah,
That's amazing.
it's been a really cool journey for sure.
Yeah. So when you moved to Bend, were you specifically looking to work in like this nonprofit animal welfare space or?
In college when I was in Portland, I tried and it was so competitive just getting my foot in the door in the nonprofit space. So I was trying and trying. I interviewed at like the Oregon Humane Society and stuff, but I was just fresh out of college. So I kind of like put that aside. I just got some experience. Like I worked at Radio Disney for a little bit, and then I worked at a PR agency. And then I got the job at Hydro Flask, which was in Bend. So I moved from Portland to Bend. And then I was like, okay, one day I'm gonna work in a dog nonprofit. Like, so I just always was like looking and seeing if something came up that matched my experience. And this job at Street Dog Hero came up, and I've already been following them since like 2017. So I was just like, I put my full effort into it, and like it all worked out. So it was perfect.
That's awesome. I love that worked out exactly how you'd hoped.
Yeah, it was a good transition for sure.
That's awesome. How would you say the marketing in this space is different from marketing in more of a consumer brand type of space? How is that different?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I feel like it's a lot more grassroots in a nonprofit. Like there's so much going on. You're doing so many different hats. But it's also fun because you can make a decision really quickly and get things done a lot faster. You don't have to like get approval from a bunch of levels to be able to like try new things and just like branch out. And yeah, if you have like an idea one morning or you see an Instagram reel and you're like, oh, that would be cool to try, like I just feel like you have a lot more freedom in a small team and a grassroots kind of organization to just go and do that. And yeah, I enjoy that part a lot more than like having to pitch ideas to like a team of people and then get buy off and then they get buy off from their managers. So I don't know. I enjoy more of the fast pace, getting things done, getting on the ground and just doing it environment.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of freedom in that, and it sounds like there's a lot of creativity.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I feel like my brain likes that mode of working for sure.
Absolutely. So, being in marketing and communications with Street Dog Hero, what does that job encompass? Like, what do you tackle day to day?
Yeah. So it's a lot of well, social media is a big part. That's like a huge factor in how we get the word out for what we're doing, what we have going on. We do events all the time, so we're just kind of always trying to get the word out through social media. And then we work with the local media to get stories out. So if we get a bunch of dogs that come in, we try to see if they can come and like, film and cover some stories. Or if we have big events, we try to get the local media to come out and doing press releases. Also working, like we just started a partnership with 15 out of 10 Foundation on their a nonprofit. I guess they cover medical expenses for rescue dogs. And they're a branch off from We Rate Dogs on Instagram. So kind of like working with other organizations to try to like amplify what we're doing has been a huge part of what we do here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I imagine the way that messaging is catered from adopters to partnerships to uh, news, or, like I'm sure that all of those communications have to be tailored in a certain way.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely like we rely so much on our community and our local Bend and Portland community is amazing. Like we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them. So we're always like reaching out to the community specifically for help with fosters or donations, volunteer dog walkers, like pretty much anything. We're always like reaching out to the community. So we have a really our core is here in Central Oregon, and we're always trying to get out there and yeah, work with the community as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you approach telling rescue stories in a way that kind of honors the dog's experience without maybe, I don't know, maybe exploiting a trauma, or trying to figure out like how much do you share versus don't share?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a balance for sure of like you don't want to talk too much about like the maybe not so like favorable qualities of a dog because there's so much more to that and they could be trained out of them too. So we try to focus on the good of what is possible with that dog and what we can see in them and then like show a little bit of insight into their story like yeah maybe they do have some separation anxiety but it's because they were from a hoarding home where they lived in a cage for 23 hours a day. So just like we try to just give a little insight of what they've been through to hope that people kind of understand and are more willing to be patient and work with the dog because they've gone through traumas. So yeah, just trying to appeal to people of the dog's full story, not just maybe the not so favorable traits to give them a little bit of a break.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we can be so easily deterred by a potential challenge, but knowing that it is just a part of a dog, and that they have
Right.
so much more to offer.
Right. Yeah. There's so much more positive that outweighs the negative. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, are there any stories that change the way that you see this work, or that have deepened your commitment to the work that you're doing?
Yeah. I think We do international spay and neuter clinics. We do about 4 a year where we'll go down to Mexico, primarily Mexico. We went to Jamaica last year and we'll just do these mass spay and neuter clinics where um, we'll do maybe like between 400 to 900 dogs and cats, both from the streets and that are owned, and we offer it for free for for the community. And just seeing like just being on the ground there, seeing how much these people love the dogs, like, or that they'll go and catch them off the streets to bring them in because they know how bad the street dog overpopulation is there, and they see dogs getting hit by cars and seeing dogs with mange and horrible diseases, and just that dog has nowhere to go, right? Like they live in the dirt on top of trash, and like the problem's just getting worse and worse. So they see how we're trying to help by spaying and neutering. And that has just been so like eye-opening for me. I never really understood the importance of spay and neuter until going to those trips. And yeah, that's just been really impactful for me, and seeing like, wow, these dogs really have it so bad. And we like can't even fathom the lives that they live. So it's not as much like an individual story, but more just like overall seeing how our mission is impacting like the country or the communities that we're in, has been, yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm curious, like, are you guys able to see from the work that you're doing some of the progress and kind of lessening the number of the population or?
Yeah, definitely. Like we'll go back to some of these places again and again, and there'll be less and less street dogs every year, which is so cool to see. And just like educating the community about like taking care of their dogs, or like taking them to the vet if they can, or even yeah, just like seeing less dogs on the street is definitely like been a huge like, wow, this is really making a difference.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many trips do you guys do a year?
We do about 4
Or
large. Yeah. And then we do local spay and neuter clinics here in Bend every month, but the mass ones we do are international. So we can usually do about 2,000 a year. Yeah, surgeries.
wow, that's very, very impactful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned the education component. In your perspective, what responsibility do organizations like Street Dog Hero have to educating populations, and not just emotionally move people, but really try and show and tell them like the importance of spay and neutering or adopting? What,
Yeah. I think, yeah, it is so important just to like, maybe in the US, we don't realize how bad it is down in Mexico, like how horrible of lives these dogs are living. So I feel like as marketing communications, like this really big responsibility of like opening up people's eyes to like, this is why we are saving these dogs from Mexico. Because we do get that a lot of, how come you're bringing in dogs from Mexico when there are so many in the US? And like, granted, there are so many in the US, and we try to help as much as we can here as well. But just the dogs there are not getting any attention at all. They're living horrible, horrible lives. So just trying to amplify of like, this is how bad it is. Like we'll go on the streets and get dogs while we're down there, and like just kind of show like, this dog has hundreds of ticks on them, or this dog has been hit by a car and its leg is backwards and it's just living like that. And people down there, they don't even, it's just another part of life. Like if you can barely afford to eat yourself, you're not going to go out of your way to help a dog that's been hit by a car. And that's just the reality. So just trying to get the word out about what it is that we're doing and why it's important, I think has been really important.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think education is power, of course, right? Knowing more
Right.
helps us do more. Um, and we talk primarily in this podcast about the blending of the worlds of, the rescue world and mental health. And
Mhm.
I'm curious about a couple things specifically to the marketing and communication. One is you mentioned, maybe seeing reels online and thinking, oh, I could do that. And so I'm curious, like, have you had to like figure out how to set boundaries with yourself with like social media, so that you're not like on all the time, or like is that a challenge for you? How do your boundaries work with this work?
Yeah, that's the hard part when you're so passionate about what you're doing. Like my husband is just like, okay, you need to get off your phone. It's like 10 o'clock at night. And it's just like, it's hard to balance between like what you enjoy doing and work. So it is hard to not always be on your phone and like, oh, I'm doing research, but like, you're just scrolling TikTok essentially for hours. So yeah, I try to like limit the amount of time that I'm doing research versus like work. So I think once you do it long enough, you kind of get in the swing of how to balance it out so that you're not just like wasting time on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and the second thing I was kind of curious about is like, what is the, if there is one, emotional toll that marketing and communication may take in this animal welfare space, especially when you might be constantly exposed to images that might be traumatic or painful?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it can be easy to kind of feel like, is this making a difference? But at the same time, just there's so many stories of the dog that'll go from like the worst of the worst situation. Like a dog that we have here right now, he was kicked in the head. His name is Chance. And he was found on the streets, kicked in the head. His jaw was fractured. And he was just wandering around like that just because he was a street dog. So nobody did anything for him until one of our rescue partners down in San Felipe, Mexico, was able to get him to their rescue. But the vets down there, they don't have like the resources that we do up in the US. So they reached out to us. We were able to bring him up to the US. He's seeing specialists now to be able to fix his brain. We're going to get his jaw fixed, and remove his eye. So like there's just so many stories where you see like them just like the underdog story basically, and then you see them come out on top and then they get adopted and then you see them like around town with their families. And I think there's enough of those kinds of stories that it outweighs like the graphic kind of negative, yeah,
Yeah.
stories that you see, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a balance. But yeah,
Absolutely.
it's good to see the happy outcomes in it. That kind of helps keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say that having those positive outcomes is a marker of success for the work that you're doing? Are there other markers that you look for to kind of feel like you're succeeding in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I think even just the amount of dogs that our team is able to bring in, like there's, I think only 10 of us on staff and that we're able to bring in maybe like 650 dogs a year, and dogs that likely wouldn't have made it out either off of the streets or out of overcrowded shelters, like just the volume that we were able to rescue, I think is, yeah, just like a testament to the work that we're doing and how it's helping.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you've already shared some stories of animals that you've seen in some pretty rough shape and the ability for them to uh, heal in a lot of different ways, which I think speaks to the concept of resilience. And I'm curious, how would you personally define resilience?
Yeah. I think resilience is overcoming like the worst imaginable things that you can think of, like not for, especially in dogs' cases, and if they've been in like a hoarding home for their whole life and they've never had human touch or love or anything, and just being able to like transition out of that horrible situation into being loved on someone's couch and like having no PTSD from like it's like that whole life that they had is just behind them and now they're just only living in the moment. I think that like the resilience of dogs is something that I look up to every day.
Mhm. Yeah, they can certainly teach us a lot about what it
Yeah.
means to bounce back. How do you feel like you personally protect your own mental and emotional health while doing the work, and how do you see your own resiliency coming into play?
Um, I think just, yeah, taking time to just like reflect on like the work you're doing every day and how it's making a difference. And, when you see the photos of the dogs with their families and stuff like that, you're just like, okay, this is like making a difference. And I'm able to like not think about all the dogs we're not able to help, but just like take a piece of knowing all the ones that we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's something that I hear a lot is just trying to keep that frame of reference of knowing that you're doing what you can and that there really is no way to help all of the dogs and being satisfied with what you're able to do and reminding yourself of the work that's been done, that can be
Right.
helpful.
Yeah. And even like our fosters too, who are fostering like, yeah, it's one dog, but that is making up space for two dogs at a shelter. And like, just, we couldn't do what we do. Like no dogs would be saved without fosters. So even though it's only one dog in your home, it's like making this trickle effect of saving hundreds.
Exactly. Um, with the fosters, do you guys have a lot of people who are able to foster for you?
Yeah, we do. We have a great foster community here in Central Oregon and in Portland. Then they always step up when, like, sometimes we'll take in 50 dogs in like one weekend or something. And I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if we're gonna have enough fosters. And then people always step up, and it shocks me every time just how amazing and selfless people are to open up their home to dogs that they've never met before, but they just see a picture and they're like, yep, I'll take that.
Yeah. And is that part of your role is communicating with like the foster teams or like is that in a different branch?
We do have a foster manager, Jamie. She's amazing. She manages all of our foster programs, and yeah, gets the dogs into the homes and stuff. And then we also have like a chat with each foster on Facebook. So then I'll be in those chats, like asking for photos and updates and stuff like that. So we're all kind of in communication
Yeah,
all the time.
absolutely. Have there been times where you felt like you needed to take a step back or recalibrate a little bit just to kind of take care of yourself? Or I know you've mentioned like you just feel excited to go to work, which is great, but does that recalibration happen every now and then or not so much?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I first started, it was like I had a foster dog in my home 24/7. And then it was kind of like, okay, you need to like have a little bit of separation when you're at home. So I will be a little bit more selective of, fostering specifically, just because it's nice to be able to like take a step back and not have it be like not only at work all day, but also like at your house, you're fostering for this dog too. So, yeah, there's definitely days where you have to take a break, and I'll take time on the weekends and, go hiking with my dog. I won't bring my phone, and just trying to disconnect. Because when you do the social media and marketing, it's easy to just always have your phone. But I think for your own mental health, you just need to like put it away sometimes and go focus on your own family. And like nothing is going to be that urgent within an hour.
Yeah, that's very true. Absolutely. And how would you describe the culture at Street Dog Hero as far as like people being able to kind of take care of themselves physically, mentally, emotionally?
Yeah, we have a really great team here. Everyone is super positive, and I think we're all really good at setting the boundaries of like, okay, I'm going to take my dogs for a hike this afternoon. We've been really busy the last couple weeks. So yeah, the culture is great. Everyone is very supportive of each other. We all work very hard because we help each other out so much. So it's not just like you're siloed, but you know how you're helping the whole team.
Yeah,
So we're all very like collaborative, and everyone gets along great.
that's great. Yeah, it's nice to have a cohesive team, a team with a same vision for not only the animals you're serving, but for each other.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's great. Now you mentioned hiking and even turning your phone off. What are some other strategies that you use personally just to kind of take care of yourself?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the main ones that I know of. Yeah, just kind of spending time with my own dogs and just giving them love too, because it's easy to just be so focused on the dogs at work. Just, yeah, kind of reflecting on like how much you love your own family and your dogs and how lucky they have it. So just going home and cuddling them when you had a hard day.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, always being outside is, especially in Central Oregon, is something that I try to prioritize. And seems like a lot of people here do that as well. Just
Yeah.
taking a breath and getting outside, walking the dogs here that are in the kennels, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Just trying to get perspective.
absolutely. I feel like I'm kind of darting around a little bit on this one, but you mentioned the kennels. I'm curious, like what is your capacity at Street Dog Hero in your facility?
Yeah, so our facility is actually not very big. We can fit about, I think, 12 large, medium to large dogs and maybe 10 small dogs, but it's more of a temporary landing spot. We're completely foster based. So like ideally dogs would be here a couple days max,
Okay.
sometimes a couple weeks if we're trying to get them into a trainer or they need a specific type of home. So yeah, it's not a very big facility. Our fosters are really what makes us be able to bring in as many dogs as we do, and it always blows me away.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you have the way that via international transports, that's how you get some of the dogs into your care. Are there other ways that those dogs are coming into your care? Are you getting them from other shelters? Are people bringing their dogs to you? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, we do local surrenders as well. Like if somebody reaches out and they're trying to find a place for their dog, we'll take in if they fit our requirements for the program, like get along with other dogs, etc. So yeah, we'll help the local community. We get a lot of dogs from like the reservation, the local reservations, if they'll find dogs living on the streets there, then they'll bring them to us. We get a lot of dogs we work with Dog is My Co-Pilot, and they fly dogs from overcrowded shelters all over the country. So they'll fly dogs like 30, sometimes more at a time, to Bend directly, and then we'll bring them in. We used to drive a lot more, and we have a Street Dog Hero van, and we'll go down to California and pick up like a van full of dogs from California, or maybe a rescue partner's driving up from Mexico with their van full of dogs. Then we'll meet them somewhere, load them all into our van and bring them up to Oregon. And then we rely a lot on flight volunteers who are maybe like if you have a trip to Cancun or Cabo, and you like message us and let us know that you want to fly a dog back. So then you'll fly it here and then we'll come get it from you. And yeah, there's just dogs coming from all different places.
It's a lot of logistics, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, um, if you were able, whether it's through your role specifically or just in general, excuse me, you could change one thing about how the public understands the work that you're doing, what would it be? What would be the thing that you would change about how the public understands things?
Um, I think the main thing, and I kind of touched on it before, is just how when we're bringing dogs from other countries, we get a lot of like, oh, but there's so many here in the shelters that need help. And it's just like the difference from like, say, a shelter in Oklahoma or like on the streets in Mexico, like the quality of life that those dogs have versus the quality of life that they have at like the local humane society is so like insanely different. Like there'll be 3 dogs to a kennel and like at a shelter in California, and they're all just crammed in there. So it's like if we can help bring dogs from other places, even though we're bringing them into our community is able to accept them. And there's enough adopters out there that we're able to get them home. So it's like if we can help them, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just kind of people to understand that we're just trying to help as many dogs as we can. We don't care where they're from. Like the focus of what we do as Street Dog Hero is rescuing dogs from the streets. That's why we started our mission. And there are a lot of other rescues that are taking dogs domestically and locally, and that's great. Like that's amazing. We need more rescues like that too. But just that there are so many dogs that need help and cats too. So just if we can help them, then we should help them. We're not going to turn them away because of where they're from.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously you explained some of the conditions of other countries, but also you're talking about kind of the more domestic transportation that happens from, like, say, California or Texas or Oklahoma, you mentioned.
Mhm.
What do you think makes the Pacific Northwest particularly accessible and a place where we can accept more animals than these other states?
Yeah, and I think it really like comes down to our adoption rates are just so high. Like people are, which is amazing. People are so much more willing to adopt a rescue dog
Mm,
here, or we have better spay and neuter programs in Oregon.
mm,
Or in the Pacific Northwest, like whereas we hear a lot in like Oklahoma specifically, people are like the culture, they don't spay and neuter their dogs and they just kind of let them free roam and then
okay.
they're just super overcrowded. And the problem just gets worse and worse and the shelter will take in, I think the one rescue partner we work with said they one day took in like 140 dogs in one day. Like it's just the volume is just so vastly
Mm.
different versus what we see in the Pacific Northwest. So yeah.
I'm curious, and maybe you don't have insight on it, maybe you do, but I'm always curious about California in particular. California, obviously,
Mhm.
it's a big state. They seem to have a lot of services, but I'm also I follow a lot on social media. It seems like there's also a lot of political things afoot that are causing some problems. But I'm curious, like, what your perspective is about California and why so many dogs are coming up from California.
Yeah, and I mean, I grew up in California, so
Oh.
I'm maybe biased on it, but I kind of feel like people want the cute golden retriever that they see on Instagram and like they're not going to the rescues or they just kind of think like, oh, the rescues all have problems. And I don't know that for sure. That's just maybe where I grew up. We like didn't know people that would just go and like rescue dogs. That was wasn't what you did. So I don't know if it's that or maybe just like people they'll have a husky in an apartment and that doesn't fit their lifestyle or something. Yeah, or just not able, like housing situation changes, they're not able to bring a dog because the cost of living or something. I'm not sure
Mhm.
exactly what contributes to the problem there. Just the shelters are just so flooded, especially in like the LA and Central California areas, it seems like.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure exactly because
Yeah.
I know they spay and neuter, and that's a big thing in California. So
Hmm.
I think maybe it's just easier to give up the dog than to put in the work maybe to train them.
Sure.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. That's
Yeah.
just my personal opinion though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate, yeah, even just taking a stab at it. I'm hoping to get some rescues on from California just to pick their brain on that. But
Yeah, that would be, I'd love to listen to those too and hear their
yeah,
perspective on it being in California themselves.
absolutely.
Like I know one rescue partner we work with down there, they said they have 150 dogs at their shelter and they get one adoption a month. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I can't even
Wow.
imagine. Like it's just people just don't adopt and I don't know how they do it.
Hmm. Wow, that's just really fascinating.
Yeah.
Hmm. I guess our little pockets of culture mean a lot in this space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, for yourself in this work, like, how do you personally define your own level of success? Like, how do you say, I feel successful, whether it's today or, you look back at the year since we're at the end of the year, like, how do you resonate with that word?
It's a good question. I think maybe just seeing, I mean, this is probably, I feel like I'm giving the same answer, but just seeing the dogs getting adopted
Yeah.
and seeing them, like if I'm out hiking and I'll see somebody, I'm like, is that a street dog or a dog? Oh my gosh, I remember them. And like, yeah, just kind of it's getting the whole picture of seeing them in their home. And
Yeah.
that always makes me feel like, okay, cool. Like we're making a really big difference. And these dogs, like I remember that dog was in a hoarding home with 300 other dogs, and here they are hiking off leash with their owner is like a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, and for whatever reason, this question is coming to my mind. It's totally disjointed and it doesn't have any flow to it right now. But you were talking about in the beginning trying to get into this work specifically in the rescue space, and that it was highly competitive. And I'm curious maybe what your advice would be for others who want to be kind of doing what you're doing. They feel that same passion and they want to help in some way. Like, what would you advise them to do?
Yeah, I would say volunteering is probably the best way, just volunteering at your local shelter, seeing how it is, how things are done there, like what you like about it, what you don't like about it. And yeah, just seeing where how you can help, reaching out to their, if you want to be in marketing specifically, reaching out to their marketing person, seeing if there's something that you can do, because I'm sure that marketing person is flooded with things that they would love to have someone reach out and be like, oh, I'll take pictures of dogs for you when we get a bunch of dogs come in or whatever. But yeah, just kind of getting in there and meeting the people and seeing what they do every day and how you can kind of help. And I feel like that's the best kind of way to get to know where you want to work.
Yeah. And it seems like, I mean, obviously not everyone's social media savvy, but it seems like, especially with the fosters, if foster parents get to really embrace social media and highlight dogs and tell their stories, that really seems to help
Yeah.
kind of that turnover.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, our fosters who post and tag us and stuff, they are like godsend because it just helps us keep dogs getting adopted. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, fostering and getting the word out about what we do is always extremely helpful. And I always really appreciate those people and those
Totally.
volunteers.
If people were like, let's say really just trying to dip their toe into trying to help via social media, because that seems to be a very primary vehicle for, getting a lot of the word out. And
Mhm.
let's say you have a foster who just maybe they're older and social media is not their first language, if you will, or they don't know how to make the reels or whatever. Like, what advice would you give to someone?
That's a good question. I mean, even just getting good photos on your phone that you can share with, the adoption person, you could email it to them or just anything that highlights that dog's personality, especially through photos if you're not into videos. Or I always like hold a treat over my phone, that really helps. Or if you're not good with photos, just asking maybe somebody to come help get photos of a dog you're fostering, or maybe somebody who's like a photographer part-time or something, or who has a nice camera or who's younger, who knows how to take good photos, like just ask them
Yeah,
for help, and that makes a huge difference.
yeah, absolutely. Good sound advice.
Thank you.
Something's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
Is there one particular story of an animal that's really touched you or stayed with you that either really embodies that concept of resilience or is just one that's really shaped your perspective of the work that you do?
Yeah, man, there's a couple, but one that stands out to me in particular is when I think it was last year we were in Canacine, Mexico, doing a spay neuter clinic. And I just went and walked around kind of near where we were doing the clinic to try to like wrangle street dogs to bring them in to get spayed and neutered, just like ones that didn't have owners. So I was like basically trying to catch them. And I found one, and her name was Snacks, or I named her Snacks, but I found one girl. She was really sweet. She was like wagging her tail at me from afar, but you could tell she was like unsure of people. Like she wasn't owned, she didn't have a collar, like she was really skinny. And like the closer that I got to her, she just had ticks all over her.
Mhm.
Like you could see them all over her body, like huge. They were on her eyelids. She was like shaking her head because they were all over her neck. It was like the most ticks I've ever seen on a dog. And I was able to get a leash on her, bring her in. And like once we looked in her ears, there was just like at least 500 ticks in her ears. Like it was
Oh
just
my
crazy that
gosh.
this dog was living like that. And she was still so like sweet and loving and like let me, like pick her up and like, I don't know, just how loving she was, even though she clearly like hadn't lived well. Like she probably slept under cars and things her entire life. And then we were able to get a flight for her. Or we did a plea on social media to see if we could raise money to get her. Like once we got all the ticks off, we got her all cleaned up, taken care of. We were able to raise the money thanks to our community to fly her to the United States. And then I fostered her once she got here. And yeah, just how like sweet and loving and happy she was. And she was like running around the yard with my dogs and like just like never had a bad day in her life. If you just met this dog that day, like you would never guess where she was found, just like in total filth. And then now she's adopted with a family in Eugene, and they send me pictures and videos every now and then of her. And she's just like running off leash in like these meadows with her other dog friends. And like she has her little sweater on and like just, she just looks so happy. So yeah, just seeing like how even if I didn't walk down that street that day, like who knows where she would have ended up, or that she would have lived her whole life like that, is just really like shows how resilient dogs are and like how far they can come if you just give them a little bit of a chance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a lot of powerful imagery. And I just can't even imagine, like, I mean, I know you're not a vet, but like what does a dog holding that many ticks do to its body? Like, how does that impact a dog?
Yeah. I know that there's in Mexico, it's called Ehrlichia, I think, where it's like a tick-borne illness, and there's a few tick-borne illnesses that they can get. And I don't know the specifics. Our medical manager would probably kill me if she heard me speak about this because I'll probably butcher it, but I know they can get like distemper and just really nasty and like diseases where their body just starts to like shut down essentially. And if they even get like a little cut that'll just bleed like crazy. Like if a dog comes in sometimes that's had ehrlichia and we do spay on them, they're just like their blood is like water because they've
Wow.
just they've gotten that disease and they've just lived with it their whole life. So it can a lot of times not end well and their quality of life is not great and they'll just kind of slowly suffer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you found Snacks and that you got her into the right hands, and sounds like she's living her best life.
Yeah, she is. Her family's amazing.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys are really making an impact with as a wider reach as you can. And obviously, you need the support to keep doing the work that you're doing. If people wanted to support Street Dog Hero, what are some of the ways that they can do that? What would you like to promote today?
Yeah, I think monetary donations are always really appreciated. We rely on our community and through donations. We aren't federally funded. We're just kind of a small nonprofit. So even like $5 here and there, it really like adds up, and that's what helps us keep going. Or if you're local to Bend, we always need dog walkers, fosters in both Bend and Portland. Yeah, just any way that you can help, even if you come in and do laundry every now and then, like any little amount, it goes a huge way because we are such a small team and we're all doing a bunch of stuff. So yeah, any amount of time you're able to give is extremely helpful.
And maybe help take some pictures for you.
Yeah, or pictures. Yeah, if you're a photographer, let me know.
Oh, well, that's really awesome, Kelly. And I know you are on a bit of a time crunch today, so I want to honor that and make sure that you get to where you need to be. But thank you for taking the time and helping people know more about Street Dog Hero and the impact that you guys are making. And also thank you for sharing, some of your own personal insights on resiliency and self-care. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you to you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Kelli Delperdang of Street Dog Hero out of Bend, Oregon, for sharing her story. If you were moved by this episode, share, like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at animal.rescuehub. And until next time, may we all find our own tale of resilience. Thanks for joining us on Tales of Resilience. If today's story moved you, reminded you of your own path, or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing this episode with someone else who cares. You can follow us on Instagram at zodi.paws and animal.rescuehub to stay connected, or visit zodipaws.com or animalrescuehub.org to learn more about both of these organizations. And you can also email us directly at info@animalrescuehub.org. And if you or someone you know has a story worth sharing, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, be kind to yourself, and never underestimate the power of a tail and a little resilience.